us for.
Yeah, we can all take a turn and give our views. I think this is important, So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, as we all know, things have changed between Thomas and the trust and Kim. Most importantly, the situation with the food is still with us. In fact, it's probably, as bad as it's been, or maybe even worse. I don't know. So, I'm wondering, I assume that the People's Club is no longer associated. It's going to be kind of contacting Kim and the trust. I mean, there's a lot of bad feelings that I get between Thomas and Kim at this time. So, as far as this organization, my understanding is, we are separate. We're independent of THI and the People's Club. So we can pretty much do what we want to do. And I personally see no reason to cut out either Kim or Thomas or their respective organizations. So I don't know what we should do or can do as far as if Kim wants this food to come out, if he still wants us to do this. So I just wanted to bring this out and ask people what they thought about this.
Girls, you want to unmute, and there's only 4 of us. Okay. So if anybody has a comment on that, I do, but I'll let someone else go first.
Well, I just have the same wonderings that Jimmy does as far as yes, we're standalone, we're California, and that being said, we're still going on with what we can with the means and the money that we can. But I'd like to know where, is there going to be? I mean, there's unanswered questions, but those questions weren't answered before because it was in the air as far as when this food was going to come and when was going to be the critical point when it was going to come anyway. So it's kind of like a lot of unanswered questions. And now are we floundering? Are we just waiting for them to say something to us? Are we just going to go? We're going to put that on the side until we need to do something, as far as the food thing is concerned.
Estella, do you have a comment, or would you rather I go?
Yeah, you go. Yeah, I prefer you talk.
Okay. Okay, so I knew this was going to be an interesting call. But as you all know, from the beginning, I was asked to start this group, and I didn't even hesitate and started everything up. And, most of us know where we've come to. So last week, or the last 2 weeks, we had about 18 people on the call. Both in the last 2 weeks. And so are we floundering? Take a look. I can't speak for anyone else. I can only speak for myself. And as far as the food situation that we spent a lot of time on setting up, distribution centers and whatnot, I didn't hear from either party whether they were going to support us with that. Everything was just left. Nobody really explained how they were going to continue with any groups other than, I think maybe Thomas mentioned once that we should continue along as we have. And when funding does become available, it will be provided, if and when. Since then, I haven't heard anything other than that. And as far as Kim's concerned, and being with the Speak Project, I never really participated with them to begin with, so I really can't answer what their views are on this. I don't know if they've ever mentioned it with Tank or Dan or Kim as far as the food situation, and I don't really know what has been mentioned over there as far as projects and funding. So I'm about as much in the dark as everyone else, and I'm just trying to do what I set out to do and keep members in California together. And I will continue to do that until I'm the last one sitting here.
Oh, wow.
And so, with that said, I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks. And hi, Bill. How are you? So, Stella, you want to go?
Well, it was an interesting last week when I hear the rock and roll of what's going on. I listened to the Kim's video and then Thomas, and out of the blue, the Baba YouTube channel show up in my YouTube, and I watch it, and I had a feeling it was okay, typical. They're trying to divide, they're trying to create confusion, and I said to myself, I'm not gonna take a position. So what came to my mind and said, well, the most important, if we are in an integrity group, we're supposed to have transparency. For me, I would love to have a Zoom meeting with Thomas and Kim. And I don't care about the detail of their own problem because it's not my interest. I just want to be transparent with the goal, the original goal of why we create these groups and what's the position. And then we can take a decision. Okay, this is good or this is not good, but at this moment, I'm like you in the dark and I don't want to make any opinion because I don't know details, and I think it's not the right way to approach this. For me, would be just a, good way to talk and the important stuff. What's the goal? Is this real? I just want to know, are you real? I don't care what other people saying. I just want, do you have is your voice real or what was all this, I just want to come from the source, and I don't care about the details. I just want to know is a real intention what they're trying to do, and maybe there is a way we can work with the Speak project and keep working what we're doing. I don't care what's the name of our project, THI or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's important is build what we're trying to do, because we were talking 5 minutes ago. We are in a system that we need to create a new one, and that's my goal. I want freedom. I want well-being for everybody. If we don't do anything, it's not good. At least work as a community trying to get somewhere is hope. So that's the only thing I want to say.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said, Estella, and you have to be honest, and I've thought all along and I remember Thomas saying many times, a lot of people in THI were strictly in this for the funding, and as I sit here right now and look around at how many people are on this call, I have to make the same assumption. How many people, like I said, there were 18 people on the call last week, right after all this information came out. And, yes, some people emailed me and said they wouldn't be on for one reason or another. And, others obviously just haven't come on and haven't been on the call for quite some time. So, I think the question we have to ask ourselves, do we want to continue going forward with this group, using all the information that we have all learned over the last years, and continuing with our original mission statement, regardless of whether funding is ever available or will be available. And we put a lot of work into this, into different areas, So that's my question. Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, guys. I just kind of got in here a little bit late. Sorry, I was working out back. And my son was working too, so he's on his way home. So he'll probably be getting on later. I haven't been following exactly what's been happening the past week. I saw Thomas's post yesterday. I'm not on MeWe, so I don't know what was going on there. So what's happening? Are we cut loose or something? I don't know.
Well, we've been cut loose quite a few weeks ago. If you remember, Thomas on one of his shows stated that they're no longer supporting the state groups because of too much conflict, too many people doing a lot of different activities that weren't coherent with the guidelines that were.
Yeah, I know about that. But anything happened in the past week? Are we not eligible for funds from the trust if we have projects, or what?
Well, that's what we're discussing. Like I said earlier, I'm in the dark about it. I don't know. I haven't heard anyone say, other than Thomas, like I said in the beginning, when he first mentioned this, I do remember him saying, as far as the state groups go, please continue what you're doing. We've all made friends here, and we've all supported each other up until now through all this. In my opinion, like I said, it's just a matter of whether everybody wants to continue and do exactly what we were taught, starting businesses that eventually will come about through all this that's been going on. From what I see, commercial real estate, and I heard a statistic today that 85% of small restaurant type businesses are not going to come back. Last week or 2 weeks ago it was 70%. Now this morning I heard 85%. So there's going to be a lot of I mean, if you want to look at it like that, I know a lot of people are going to be losing a lot, but there's also going to be opportunities available by way of this situation. So, if we choose to look at it like that, and that's just what I think. It's just a matter of if everybody, and we'll have to eventually see how many people are seriously interested in continuing with our state group, and who's to say in the future whether the funding supposedly will become available, like I said, either by way of the People's Club, and I'm sure if it does that way, Thomas will support us. He already said he would when he was on this call. And as far as the overall major funding by way of Kim, I can't answer that. I've heard so many different stories, and I don't, like I said, I don't get involved in that stuff. I just observe, see what's going on. So it's, in my opinion, it's all up to us. If we want to continue with this, I'm not going anywhere. So it's just a matter of what everybody else, how everybody else feels, and we'll see how many people come back after they hear this and decide whether or not they want to continue on.
Yeah, well, I was never into it for the trust. I was into it for the community. Just like when I was with OPPT, I wasn't in for the $1 billion they were going to give us or whatever that bullshit was. I was in it for the community. We created a community, which unfortunately disbanded when the whole thing fell apart. So, I'd hate to see that happen again. So I don't know where everybody is this week. It seems kind of sparse, but a few more people.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Okay, I see two other hands raised. Phyllis isn't here, so I'm trying to work this out. But whoever wants to go, whoever has their hand raised, go ahead, and I'll pull this up.
Okay, I'll go. Hi.
Oh, there it is. Okay, Ken, thank you.
Hi, Danny's here, Vicky's here, Stella, Philip, Bill, Jim. How y'all doing?
All's good here.
Good. Great. How's it in Hollywood, man? I gotta hear about Hollywood, Demi. Just a quickie. What's going on?
Hollywood, nothing I'm aware of. It's all quiet as far as, is there something going on here?
No, I'm just curious about food and people and.
Yeah, it's all very normal. There's a few, restaurants that seem to be trying to open, and but I haven't sensed anything off except what, it's just normal.
Good. You hear me clicking? I'm running there's some internet stuff going on. So I'm
all right, Ken.
Fire off.
You can probably help. You could probably help us out here, Ken. Demi was the only one that came forward with a topic for tonight. And she was asking where we stand with THI and the trust presently.
I can answer that.
I figured you could because I see you spend more time than anyone else on here on that MeWe chat, and that's where most of the information seems to be flowing from. So go ahead.
Tell you the truth, I have not been on MeWe chat at all. I've been on at least a week. I've done a lot of research though. I've talked privately. There is a group of new people. I'm not going to be critical, but I'm just going to say that the chat is degraded quite a bit on the main channel, but that's not important right now. There's a lot of new people. Willow's not here. I see that she was.
Willow's traveling.
Yeah. Posting these pictures of the balloons with a girl's butt, and people attacking people. But I'm not going to go there. I'll tell you about the funds. When I viewed that video that Kim did with Tank initially back on the 7th, I think it was, somewhere around there, and I saw Thomas's reaction. And I understand that we get to dump. That's why we have THI. He gets a little emotional. Everybody does. He's worked with Kim very hard pro bono. They've been attacked, and we all know what that feels like when we get over the target, right? But I saw the funds thing coming. It's not that I want to get my hands on the funds, but I remote viewed this stuff. There's also an issue with Kim that she talked about she was with us before she left, about not being able to get through the legislature because of Nancy Pelosi and others, to secure the funds and transfer, and a third of the funds, they want control of everything, and it's all corrupt and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not positive of this, but I feel good about it. Wendy and I won't speak for her, but we went through quite a bit. We have a criminal case. It's back from March of 2017 for when there was no warrant, no criminal activity, tenants a common issue. My mom knew these people. I knew them for 30 years. They get through it quickly. We were attacked. They offered us less than 25% of what the property was worth, 20 acres. I fought it for 2.5 years, and Wendy was there. She fought too. We were attacked, active attack. I had to study it, and to get to the end of the story, we filed that criminal case and got a number with Chicago. Couldn't go through Richmond because Richmond, California was crooked, the office at that time. So we had case number 1826214. I gave that privately to Thomas, and many copies of scans of our paperwork. We went through a lot of it, the SHOT Act. Same kind of crap, but right after that, things started to move at the post office. It's like within a week. Thomas came out with the information, but very quick little tidbit in one of his Thursday night shows where he said, all the world banks now are connected to the post office, and that's all I got to say about that for right now. It was really short. And that just, wow. It was like, oh my gosh, all the stand in the middle of my living room with a sword. Wendy was there blocking the doors, a 6'6" reptile sheriff breaking through the door with no warrant, deed in hand. And I stood in the middle of the floor with a sword and got tased. We went through a lot. I feel good about it because I feel that got Kim. She needs numbers. She's a math person. She got in to the post office and routed and hacked her way through with that criminal case. There's no need to go to the legislature. No need to talk to anybody. She was given the number privately through Thomas. Bang. I'm not 100% positive. But I remote viewed it. I'm very passionate about it. Claire, she has a firewall. Stop that. Mirror. Excuse me. Yeah. You can see the target. All the tumblers fit. The key turned, Jim, Demi, Stella, Vicky, Bill. and the 760, whatever that is. But that's okay. The key turn, Jim. I saw it turn. Downloads 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Remote viewing, and securing that. When Kim made her move not too long after that announcement, I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to wait and see what happens with this. Maybe this was planned. Maybe we're going to wait and see who would bail out of THI. It was getting pretty dirty in there. A lot of bots and nobodies. Who's after the money? If Kim goes, everybody's going to think that the money's going to go with Kim. Well, in all actuality, if she's compromised in any way, it's going to violate the quantum system. That's not going to, it's not going to happen. It can't. Now, where we are in time and space, y'all know that. It cannot happen. So I put, my 5684, 23. I can go into that later. I don't want to go into that. It's deep. But basically, we're swimming in it, Jim, right? Put source, the free will positive, and secured, went over the top of Kim with a script change in programming and a time phone hack to the script, to where if she was compromised, that she wouldn't get hurt, but that it would ensure a double firewall on top of the quantum system to secure the people's funds. That's all. That's my intent. That was my intention, not to get my hands on it. No, boy, get money. No, it was to protect it. So we're going through a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of new people there. They're posting junk, monetized sites, and that's understandable. I'm not saying it's bad. Everybody comes in at their level. In my opinion, we will deal and talk with these people on their own level, where they're at with their awareness. What else are we going to do? Pound them in the head with a hammer and tell them what, we can't, they've got their free will, and they're going to seek and find these things out or not. The bots are going to go away. The half-breeds are already starting to go away. People are going ape shit all over the place, and they just, I don't know. What's that? I'd give it up to source and see what happens. Just wait. Stay positive. Help people when we can, but let's take care of ourselves, man, first, and then we can help others. Luckily, I'm lucky where I am right now. I'm not in the city. I have food. I have freeze-dried food for a year. We have gravity-fed water. If we lose power, we know the people. The well's drawn out of the base of a river. It's gravity feed. Go fishing if I have to. It's beautiful and sunny outside right now. It's gorgeous. So, and we have a 5,800 foot runway, kind of hidden up in the hills north of here. We can fly in C-17s. We can fly in, I don't know if we can get any AN-124 in, but certainly C-130s with rocket assist takeoff and landing, and C-17s with their turbofans, every person well aware of those aircraft. I'm not too up to speed with the Russian AN-124, but I'm sure they've got a JSTOL, it's called, a jet assisted takeoff system on them. And if they can get into a 5,800 foot runway, it's hidden up in there, and we can bring in a lot of stuff. I sent an email off to a county supervisor here, amongst others, with the Thomas's expose link. Sheriff, county. I didn't send it to the rotten supervisors. I sent it to a freshman that I know that was tied in with the seizure of my home. I know this guy. He was captain of the volunteer fire department in Albion, Ted Williams, and the other supervisors in this county, Mendocino County, I noticed watching their broadcasts during this lockdown, that they treated him like a freshman piece of crap, and I thought, well, I'll give it a chance, you know. He hasn't returned my email yet, but there's probably a little fear there because he knows who I am. I called him from San Diego to go check on my mom, and he kind of bailed on that. I won't go into it, but I can forgive him for that. Start afresh, no problems. So I'm hoping that'll work out.
The question came up earlier. Maybe you can answer this. Have you heard anything about whether either Thomas or the Speak Project, Kim, will be supporting us with food if necessary?
Thomas told us and me, and you did too, Jim, to get ready. I did my part with that as far as I could go. There's also Ukiah Inland, but that's a state airport. I remote viewed, the reason why I say an AN-124 is a huge, I don't know if you all know, it's a huge Russian, it's the largest transport military or cargo aircraft in the world. I mean, it like two C-17s together, they're huge. But I think without JSTOL assist, rocket assist takeoff and landing, they would probably need about a 7,000 foot runway. But that depends on what model, whether they've got turbofans. But Russia, Thomas, remote views, private chat, I get that Russia's ready to help. They flew with us in cloaked Hungarian and also Polish markings, but they're Su-27 flankers on the B-1s that through the Taiwan Straits. There's about a mile corridor there. That was a couple of weeks ago to play in their, whether it's cakes and circuses or not. The issue is that 3 B-1 low altitude radar protected nuclear bombers flew in a very, very narrow corridor between Taiwan and China with Russian flankers, and they had Polish and Hungarian paintings on, but they're definitely Russian. I tracked them. So Russia's ready to help us. I don't think it's Putin. I don't know what to think about that guy and the bot or whatever. I noticed that there's Russia didn't allow any GMOs, Monsanto, nothing into its food system. They've kept. Oh, thank you, sweetie. I get Wendy's making me some clam chowder.
Okay, so we should stay on point with the distribution centers.
Distribution centers, Ukiah. I've got 5,800 there in above Little River. Well hidden, paved roads, trucking to serve the whole coast along the northwest, all the way up and trucking. Depending upon, I know the sheriffs here and the police departments here in Mendocino County have not said anything about defunding the cops here. It's kind of living in the lion's den, and but out of Ukiah and Little River, and possibly even a smaller airstrip to the south of here, we'd probably get a small aircraft in, C-141s, and we can get. We bring in food from Russia or wherever we get it. I've got 3 places, and I've got a contact. The fact is that he hasn't contacted me is because he's very high when he's telling me to stop. Am I saying too much, Jim?
Yeah.
No. With what you said, so as a group, we should continue to stay on point with the distribution centers. And what are your thoughts on? I know Thomas. That's one of the last things he said was we should also continue right along as we've been doing with the projects.
Bingo.
Small and large projects. So I'm guessing he's saying that, funding is still in play. We just don't know,
It's
who
held.
and where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's held in the trust. What did y'all look at Tank's initial video? He said that the funding was coming through the DOJ. And then a couple of days later, and that was on Kim's video, on the 7th, I think it was. A couple of days later, Tank came on and he said, "Oh, I made a mistake. It's not the DOJ, it's the post office." Okay. So that was another confirmation that came through. Now, I noticed the video with Kim. Did you all notice the computer-generated graphics on her head and neck, how her head was placed on a body? Did you notice the color change, the neck? Did you do any pausing on HD video? You can pause, start, and you can tell with Tank when he's on that he's not. And what if Kim just comes back? What if this was a little roots? What if we were seeing who's going to bail? I talked to a few other people in private chat, said that they couldn't find some friends of theirs and they bailed, or people they were used to chatting with. And I think it would be, that's a possibility that with CGI, you can very easily done. It looked like CGI to me. Tank's eyes on prior videos, I just don't trust him. Sorry, that's it. Done with Tank. But, maybe a little movement done there. He's already flipped on Thomas once already that I know of.
Yep.
And then came back, right? Okay. So with that in mind, but the CGI stuff on Kim was especially at the neck, very, very obvious to me. And so what if she comes back after we clear out all these bots and posting of butts and pubes and crap on the THI chat? I mean, people are fighting. There's 3 people or 4 people that seem to be on all day long, and they feel that they own the place. And
yeah, it's a real territorial site.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about, right? So I won't mention their names, and maybe they'll learn something out of all this and get out of the blue screen rays that are coming at them, and who knows if they got any security. Hey, Vicky, doing okay?
Yeah.
Who's that, Bob? Oh, Pam. Just
okay. So does anyone have any questions for Ken before we go to someone else? Feel free.
Pam, go ahead, Estella.
What Kim mentions, someone mentioned something about the energy is coming, and I guess it's June 21st, like it's gonna kind of clear, or what do you understand about that?
Look in the skies, Estella. If you have a chance to get out in where there's not a lot of ambient light, we've got some friends, and you could only see them really in your peripheral vision, but we don't want to mark them too much. I mean, no, I know this is Zoom, and there's probably, I'm not getting any warnings on my security, but it doesn't really matter right now at this point. I've been pretty quiet about it for about 2 months. I call them my little friends, especially after the expose. So Estella, we have help, but it's not well known. It's operational, and I'll leave it at that right now because
Well, it's supposed to continue for 46 days, Stella. I wrote it down when Kim said that. She said the 22nd will start, and it'll continue for 46 days. But she didn't really, say much more than that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to me, I mean, I'm not Ken, I'm going to be honest with you. Everything you said in the last 10 minutes, I probably got maybe 2% because it was maybe the language or the way how you said it, but it's okay. But what I guess in my intuitive mind is like a lot of people has energies that are not aligned with what is the goal of what we're working on. And it's going to be like a cleaning phase. That's what kind of my intuitive mind told
That's
me.
a possibility. Yep.
And
Or
it's
whatever.
like showing the truth side of the coin, you know?
Yeah, who's going to chase the money? Let's wait.
Yeah.
I'm already
Yeah.
seeing people fly out
Yeah.
of Ujjayi already.
And what the other thing, because I was part of the dinar and all that crap.
Yeah.
And during the dinar process, I've been doing my spiritual work, and then I realized the value is in ourselves. We are the ones with a true heart. You can manifest and you bring the abundance because you have intentions of serving and for the totality, not for your ego, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
the quantum system. Yeah, it's the intention and our position in space right now.
right.
Yep.
And I believe on that because if we don't think positive, we're never going to free ourselves because we got entangled on the shit they're doing right now with the separation, the 6 foot, the mask, and it's all that in reverse of the source frequency, right?
Yeah.
So,
I came across 2 RNs in the street that were wearing masks, and I mentioned to them, I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I already told you that last week, but they stopped in their tracks. They took 2 steps and went.
and the other thing is, everybody look for the answers outside when, you know, you expecting that someone come with the trust. The trust is a name, but if the value is, we are the value, is our work and, you know, community work. And it seems for me like Source is telling us, guys, the lesson is learn to work together. You have to create together. This is how you guys gonna move forward. And we're so stupid that
Shit, I agree with beep. Sorry, Stella.
I agree.
I have bad communication, but you know, we is who's we?
well, but the humanity in general, people fall in stupidity. So that's why, I mean, that's the bottom line. What I'm saying is, if you don't really align yourself with your thoughts and don't fall in, like when I listened to Baba, it was a joke, right?
Did you follow that whole system for 10 years?
Which, the dinar?
The RV, yeah, the dinar system.
No, it wasn't
every week they promise something.
From 20, that's how I met Thomas, actually. I'm a person, I work and I have my own income. I don't, you know, I didn't expect too much of that. It just, and even because I did my spiritual work during that time, I realized I am the value because every time I put an intention, you know, I get a job or a secondary job and I make the money, you know, pay my bills and I don't need to go for help. But that's what I got the confirmation with little things in my life, you know, and I see myself, if when I go in fear, I block myself. So I kind of train to move forward and not to be afraid and learn from my mistakes, period. But even when Thomas was talking about the dinar and he was talking in sarcasm, I even emailed him like, dude, don't talk like that because so many people die even in sickness waiting with the illusion of the money. And that's a crime to me, you know?
There's no illusion, Stella. I fought 2.5 years for this number to get in there, and I'm very passionate about it. I know it's there, and I have to keep an eye on my 6. I am under attack all the time, but that doesn't stop my free will, positive intention.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop that. I just got eyes in the back of my head. You know, it's like the deer story. You know, the deer walking past the devil. You just throw love
We're-
out there. You're not
Yeah.
an issue. You know, unless
We're
But-
still here.
there's
Right. And
still there. Shit, I've
and
been
s-
shot at. Estella, all this stuff that Thomas talks about, I don't mean to walk all over you, but, you know, I agree with you. Free will positive, but I keep my eyes open because the stuff I've seen from Cobra attack helicopters to A-10s, 30 millimeter Gatling guns. How about that cruising around? How about helicopters that'll just seem to show up out of nowhere and,
what?
not that I'm thinking about this, Estelle. I'm almost done. I am working still ahead. I've got the county supervisor. I got 3 airports I'm looking at. It's very tedious right now, all over the place, but here in my area, I know we have to work together, but right now, quite frankly, everyone, I can just take care of my area right now. And I'm set up to do that. I've a plan except for the trucking, but that's available. The demand will be there and the supply will follow. And the cops, the sheriffs, I got their respect because I stood up with a sword in the middle of my living room and got tased. And then I stood up, this reptile was at the door, okay, and no criminal activity, holding a deed in my hand, but it was a tenants in common issue. And I'd sent off all that stuff to the Chicago post office cops in Chicago with scans of random variables, of phony seals, counterfeit, treason. I studied for 2.5 years and I stated all their admiralty laws and they're verified. I did make some mistakes, but because I said I'd protect myself or give myself grace for the words of art law, that's all I got to say. It supersedes everything. Their little spellings don't work. So I'm very passionate about it, and I'm almost done. So hold on, Estelle, I'm almost done. I'm very passionate because I stood in the middle of my living room with a sword and got tased about a rotten cop, okay? My neighbors locked up my mother in the back room for 3 months, Estelle. Her neighbors that I knew for 30 years. And I called this Ted Williams up that night. So I'm very passionate about it. I got the tap from my mom. She didn't call me. They had her locked up in the back room. He called me up. He said, the house is locked and, Peter Temple and Rita Crane say that everything's okay. And I said, but bull, through my toothbrush and my arms and my swords and my family sword, I had for 200 years, jumped in the car and took off. I got a speeding ticket doing 100 miles an hour, got up there, spent 3 days with her, saw her out the door. Very passionate about this. So when he tased me, Wendy's my witness, I got up off the floor and looked at that fella in the little crack of the door and I mirrored return to firing point procedures and his gun failed. So I have the respect of the cops. They respected that. They let me out. The issue it was through a court of non-reporting where all decisions are void, null and void since their inception, even in admiralty law. So I had to do something crazy and I knew something would happen and this firearm that was left up in the Albion showed up on my property in an unlocked trailer where someone tried to come in, load it up, shoot me in the bed, wipe it down, and throw it in the bed. I mean, they know and these are sharks. These were nasties. That guy's out of here. I didn't have to delete him. He just went bye-bye. When people attack you, source, if you're free will positive, you're moving forward, you will get protected. So I've got the cops, the good cops. They saw the seals. The numbers were given to Kim. All the tumblers fit in and a key turned. So I'm very positive about what's happening. And I'm going to stay that way and I can cover my area. And if I can help further south or north, I'll do what I can. And still here. Now I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Let's see if Pam J, you want to unmute? You there tonight, Pam J?
I see her.
She spends a lot of time on that MeWe chat, the main page. Just wanted to get her opinion on this topic tonight. By the way, for those that came on a little late, the topic is where we stand at this time with THI and the trust. Who's on the phone? 760. Rochelle?
That's Rochelle.
Hi, how are you?
Yes. I'm great. Great to say hello to everybody.
You want to comment on that topic?
Man, be honest, I feel sort of thrown for a loop, and I listened to last week's Zoom call, and I want to say, Jim, your input was incredibly valuable for me to just calm down, take a deep breath, and just realize that I don't really know what's going on, but it don't look good. So then, as far as the topic for this evening, I just don't know. I mean, I love Thomas, and I think we ought to, of course, stand with THI. And I don't know what the frig to think about Kim. I'm stunned, and I honestly felt stunned, and I felt like, oh my God, if they have access to the money through her, we're done for. So, but what do I know about that? I mean, I don't know. I just have been a member since March, I believe. So my vote is to definitely stick with THI and Thomas, and that's about as far as I have any input on that. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Michelle.
I'm going to mute my. Yeah, thanks, Jim. Thanks, everyone.
Vicky has her hand raised.
Yeah, so what Ken was saying about Kim's neck and was photoshopped or whatever, I don't know. I'm going to have to relook at that. Demi, I know you were viewing all of Kim's stuff, so I was wondering, did you, you're a little IT savvy there. Did you notice anything like that? Because I thought that was an interesting comment that Ken gave. And as far as I had a little brain fart just now because I had another comment, but I forgot what it was. It's stuck inside my head. But no, the thing with the trust, it doesn't matter about the trust. Okay, you guys got to just let it go. Okay, you gotta just stick with source. And like her quantum system or the quantum system or whatever this thing is, it's going to read the heart. Okay. So we don't need to be worrying about that. And the more we focus on the negative, that's what you're going to get. So, leave it to source, keep your heart open, because that's what the quantum, system that her and Thomas was together was talking about and sharing, saying that it's not going to be anything you're going to obtain. It's going to be read that way. So we really don't have nothing to be concerned about. And if it's not going to be, so be it. You know who you are. So, we make do and do what we can to help our fellow man and each other and ourselves. Like Ken said, you got to help yourself in order to help everybody. That's my take. And I'll mute.
Thanks, Vicky. There's no other hands raised. Pam J, you there?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
I was just wanted to see if we could get your take on this whole thing. Did you see what the question is for discussion tonight?
No, I didn't. I just came on. So.
Okay, we're all wondering, or Demi put the question forward this afternoon. Where do you think we stand with THI and the trust presently?
I don't know that there's any standing with the trust at the moment. And
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I see
Yeah.
that you're on the MeWe chat in the main
Yeah.
group
Uh-huh.
quite a bit, so I thought you'd know a little bit more about, what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Feel free to enlighten us.
Well, I wish I could, but it looks like we may have to use the People's Club and get around the trust. We weren't expecting to have funding anytime soon anyways. So I might chip in a bit more to the People's Club and everyone else do the same, and we might just be able to do what we need to do without the trust, because it's ridiculous that that Kim has not been in the control. Yeah, my phone's going off. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to mute for a minute. I have a phone call, so here we go.
Anyone else? Philip, how are you tonight?
Hi. I've just felt kind of overwhelmed this week. So, I got on, been trying to follow on Facebook, and I got on MeWe and was looking at that and recognized that Pam J and Ken are on there a lot, et cetera. And I was trying to, and just saw the quality of the chat back and forth, and it was like, yeah, this is not, I don't know. So just, I didn't get any great, I didn't feel empowered out of it or whatever, but I just recognized that, that who's more involved with it. So, just continuing to research other stuff this week and try to open up relationships a little bit, to talk a little bit more, whatever. So that's about it. I'm just, and I've basically arrived at what you were saying, Ken, just by being positive and, just giving it all up to Source, just giving it all up. I've been praying and looking at my own intentions and, the plague inside of me and my soul, and all stuff as if it's going on inside, and just giving it all over, and, and trying to step into a place where what's going to where we could receive something new, basically, where some new direction, something can show up that has never shown up before. So because all of this stuff has been showing up, we've never seen before. So it's like, okay, so if this is preparation, I was getting this whole thing this week. It kept coming up where I felt like we were going through the birth canal. And, all kinds of pressure and everything else. And it's like, I'm not seeing light at the end of the tunnel yet, but, and it's painful and all of that, but whatever. So, yeah, so I'm still working on sprout, the sprouting stuff and trying to get information together. But I've had a really hard time just collecting myself to get much of anything done. So it's been rough. So, loved looking at the pictures that Demi, posted of Blythe. I've been looking on Zillow and working with astrology to see where good places for me to move to would be, because I'm getting really, I don't feel like anything definite going on here, but I'm really like wanting to get out of San Francisco.
Ooh, yeah. Wow.
And I've been recognizing that, I mean, the big urge is if I'm going to spend the rest of my life, I'm almost 70, and, you know, what kind of situation do I want to move into? And I really want to be out in nature somewhere. It's, you know, I'm next to Golden Gate Park here, but that's not nature enough, you know, so I used to go backpacking in Yosemite for a week at a time, and, you know, I'm from Colorado and, et cetera. So yeah, I'm just really wanting to get back to nature somewhere. So I've been looking on land at land on Zillow all over and trying to identify what is it I want, what would make me feel better, what would make me happy, you know, going forward. And what would my needs be? What kind of people do I have to be around? What kind of situations? So
Seek out the good in everything and stick to it, as Marcus Aurelius. Philip, and I think you're doing that. Good for you. It'll come to you.
Okay, thanks.
That's my opinion. It did for me. Still does. Maybe difficult. I love your going through the birth canal thing. It feels like for me it was like slicing, and it's felt like this before certain times, slicing through lead. Good for you.
Vicki, did you go ahead? I'm sorry, Phil.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be, you know, I think December, January is when this will begin to like be out of this, you know, really moving into something new. It's going to be an exciting rest of the year, shall we say. So, astrologically. So looking at all that. So, anyway, thank you all. I appreciate everybody's comments and, the positive nature and the reinforcement of what I was kind of getting and putting together myself. So thanks.
All right.
Vicki,
you own any
did you
property?
you have your hand raised again, Vicki?
Hand raised.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, I know this is kind of like a touchy question, but a lot of people that living here in California are, not really liking it here anymore. And depending on where your geographics are wanting to relocate, some ASAP if they can. And, I would like to do that, but it's pending because of my honey and his job and blah, blah, blah. But my question after saying that is, you know, Thomas's rules for being in each state group, you have to be in that state. But you know what? What if I keep a California address and I move? You know, I mean, could I be devious that way? I mean, this is our group. And I still want to help it. I have my family in this state, but you know what I mean? I just, what do you think of that?
That was part of the original guidelines, Vicki, and that no longer, we talked about that last week.
I was here, but I didn't hear it, I guess.
Somebody, I think it was Demi, asked about bringing in new people, if, you know, and yeah, that's exactly why this name change took place for us. We were prepared for this, not that we knew it was going to take place, separating from THI, but according to the original guidelines set out by Thomas, from the beginning, once we reached 50 members, we were to start a website and go out on our own into counties and communities, you know, spreading the information and you know, THI teachings.
I remember that, yeah.
So Willow also asked the same question because she's traveling looking for a place to purchase because she doesn't want to go back out on the road at this time. So she's up in Northern California presently and might even go into Oregon. And if that's the case, you're still a part of this group. We don't have to adhere to the, in order to be a member here, you have to first be a member of the main group. We don't have to adhere to that anymore. We're our own group, and we make the decisions and the choices going forward here. So you don't have to worry about that.
And well, so then what about if the whole thing about Kim splitting with Thomas was a big stage thing, and to weed out whatever, it's just another thought, and then they come back and then re-implement those guidelines again, then you're have to start all over.
There is a possibility that when Thomas, as mentioned, weeks ago, was going to, we were all going to transition to the People's Club.
That's what I thought, yeah.
And they were going to actually issue each group a website connected to the People's Club. So if it comes to that, that's not a hard transition for us, I don't think they would expect us to adhere to the old THI guidelines. Just my opinion.
Okay.
Sean, you finished eating? Would you like to comment? I don't know if you saw our topic of discussion tonight, but we're discussing where we stand with THI and the trust presently.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what the topic was. Sorry. I don't know. I feel like we're playing the waiting game at the moment, personally. There's not much we can really do without like some kind of word from Thomas, like about this whole thing, because he hasn't commented yet. We're still waiting for his response on the show. It doesn't sound like it's going to be great, though. It doesn't sound like he's from his last posts about Kim. It doesn't sound very, very promising. But I don't know. I think we should just keep doing what we're doing and keep making connections, just for our own survival, and, keep, connecting with people that we think, can help, promote a community of, what's the word? Self-sustainability. That's my idea. I really want to connect with more farmers personally, and get that kind of self-sustainability. We already have that with Kimberly, but just all of us kind of connect with food people that make food, and because it does feel like something is going to go down, and we should just prepare for that anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It's iffy. Like, I feel like we can't, I feel like one of our most important job, all of us, I think, is that if all this stuff really comes to light, we're going to be the ones to kind of explain to people what's going on. If feels very confusing to everybody, we're going to be the ones to be like, okay, well, this is kind of what is happening, and you're seeing that right now. And because people are going to freak out, so we will be able to be there to explain things and keep people level-headed instead of because otherwise they'll be in complete darkness and not know what, so if the media comes out and says something, it's going to be confusing. Like, it's just going to be really confusing, like they always do. It's going to be really
Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So what we have to do is help connect the dots for other people and help them, really just to calm down, you know, and just be more level-headed and not riot in the streets like they are, because it's not really helpful. It's just, but yeah, everybody just needs we really need disclosure, and we really need to understand what's happening. I think everybody in the world just needs to get a full understanding, full disclosure of everything that's happening, because, yeah, and if Kim can help do that, then I'm on her side. You know, whoever can help do that, I'm on the side of that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole thing.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, no problem.
Philip, did you have your hand raised again?
Yes. Okay, so I don't know how to connect the fact that there was a coup against the new Draco Queen, et cetera, and she was taken out by Shane the Ruiner, et cetera. So I don't know how all that gets connected. If that's, I don't know, you know, with Kim or whatever. It's just all kinds of craziness all up at the top, evidently. So, all the way down. So, I see you reacting, Ken, but I can't, it's a small picture and I can't figure out what you're saying.
Please, Ken, tell us.
I wanted to show, I'm actually rolling a tobacco cigarette. It's not a joint. So I'm drinking, but it might look like one, but it's actually tobacco.
Pass it around.
Yeah, here you go. Jam, geez. Philip, you own property in San Francisco?
No, I don't. I've never owned property. I rent. I've been, you know, I'm in a rent-controlled place, you know, so if I lose this place, I'd have to leave San Francisco anyway. Couldn't afford to stay here anymore, so. So might be able to keep this place and get someplace elsewhere while I kind of go back and forth. I don't know, but I don't know how I'm going to figure it, but I'm beginning to do research on all this stuff. So.
Okay, well, we have 1,805 acres, was it, up here we're looking at. Sean, you came in a little bit late. There's the talk about, and Pam J.
I came in late too, so.
Yeah, how Kim, all the tumblers, I'm not going to go through it again, but there was a criminal case. She had problems getting through the legislature, and that was when Kim was still with us, and we had a criminal case with the post office, and bang, it went private to Thomas, all the scans and copies and the numbers, and that's all she needed. She got in, the tumblers were there. A few days later, boom, Thomas made a really quick little comment 2-3 weeks ago where he said, we're connected all the world banks to the post office. And that's all I got to say for right now. That was it. And then Tank came on, the CGI video looks like to me with Kim, but just to say real quick that I have high confidence that the quantum system, whether Kim comes back or not, the intention, as Estella talks, of the human heart and our connection to sources, Jim says we're swimming in. It's going to be okay. But if not, it's going to be okay. That 1,805 acres is, if the trust funds do come through, that's going to be a huge eco-village. There's a large spot of land up top, 95 acres. There's a river that runs through it. Got a plan. I haven't put it in because it's loose. Most of it's in my mind, but I have the people. I've got the trucks. I'm going to bring in and make the roads. The roads are there. We're going to get the trucks in there, and then we can set it up and build an eco-village and whoever can get there gets there.
Okay, I'm interested in that. I'd like to hear more about that and, you know, area to look at. But yeah, I'd definitely like to be involved in that, or apprised of it. I'd like that idea. Thanks.
We're going to get back into that project information, Philip. Yeah, you weren't here when we. There was a time when we were heavily into it before the distribution centers. And speaking of that, Debbie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the properties you were looking at out in Blythe? I saw the pictures. That's a cool little place, it looks like.
It is. It's a really precious little place to me.
And lots of water.
Oh, there is. And the Colorado River is, it is huge. And it winds through there. Canals all over the place pulling. We saw the canals, and it's just awesomely beautiful. One of the problems is, it's still California, but some of it's in Arizona actually. But maybe California will be changing in better ways. But basically, what I was interested in is looking up along the Colorado up to where Lake Havasu is. The Lake Havasu area. They've got a dam up there, but Parker is kind of between Lake Havasu and Blythe. And Parker has some nice. It's a long kind of strip that runs along the river, but Parker is also a real town. It's in Arizona. And I have some inheritance money that's coming, and so I'm looking at what I want to do. Do I want to buy a house? Do I want to buy whatever? I want to buy about 10 things, but the money isn't going to be there for that. So I was looking at houses. I was also looking at something at Quartzsite, which is about 20 miles on the Arizona side from Blythe. It's at about 870 feet, so this goes up. But I want some place for myself that has some room, and I want to be able to build things. I want to be able to build some kind of maybe a hydroponic system, or just do things. And so I'm looking at areas all over the place. And the interesting thing with Blythe and that whole area is that once you get out of that irrigation-fed terrain, you get into scorching desert on either side. Now, when I was there, the day I arrived, the day before it had been 117 degrees. So I got there deliberately. I knew it was going to be hot, so I didn't go until it was cooling, but it was still hot. It was 108 degrees when I arrived at the motel. So that's one big issue that I have. But I just really love the openness. I love the area. I've been going there for years. And the feeling is just wonderful. And if you go follow the Colorado down, you get into this system, which is, it just looks like just swamps and all kinds of things where there's nothing going in there. So if you have a boat, canoe, anything, kayak, it'd be really beautiful. And you're not that far from Yuma, Arizona, and then you go back to the Colorado River, creating all this farmland around Yuma, and then across, going west again. So it's a beautiful area, and there's probably a lot of farmland there that you could purchase. I don't know how much they're going to be cultivating, depending on this situation. But it is a gorgeous area. If you love the desert, I do, and if you love the city, I do. And Blythe is a big enough city to really support a lot of good stuff. So anyway, I'm glad people enjoyed the videos or the photos because it's to help convey all of that to you. So I appreciate your letting me know. I've got more, but I think that pretty much sums it up. But anyway, that's what I've been looking for. And now I'm also searching in the Caribbean to see if there's something there that I want to do. So we'll see about that.
Thanks, Timmy. So did you notice anybody growing anything out there?
Growing anything? You mean
Yeah.
what?
Well, you mentioned farms. What are they?
You mean like herbal delight?
No.
Rice.
What I was getting at is, it's a big desert.
Oh.
What's the possibility of, the reason I mentioned Blythe was because of the water. You showed us the water that's available out there. So are you able to grow vegetables and such in the desert?
I don't think there'd be any problem. As far as the extreme heat, there probably would be limitations to that. Obviously, the water is something that you just can't tap. You have to, I'm sure, get rights to using a certain amount of water. But otherwise, I think the only thing that I can see is heat and really the quality of the soil. And I'm not an expert on soil at all, so I don't know what would thrive out there. But there's certainly a tremendous amount of under acreage, growing.
Well, it seems there's always a possibility of trucking in soil. Even having raised bed type gardens, hydroponics.
Well, when I was up in Quartzsite, I'm just looking at land. There's all kinds of land for sale. I mean, acreage. You got plenty of land. So what you really need up there, like everywhere else, is water. But if you have hydroponics, you're going to use so much less water. And there's sunshine virtually all the time. So that to me would be, hydroponics appeals to me a lot more because you can do a lot more controlling of it. And you can make sure that the right ingredients are there, the water.
Aquaponics too.
Aquatonics?
Aquaponics.
Okay.
Look on the file section in Newark, California.
Okay.
I posted one and somebody else posted something on it too.
Okay.
Did you happen to get any numbers on property values or what land is selling for?
Well, I didn't really look at land, but for instance, up in Parker, there's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, not on the river, but there's a canal that runs, it sort of creates an artificial island, the canal. So you have actually waterfront property on the river and, part of the river, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was like, 90,000.
Did it have a well?
No, I'm sure it didn't have a well. I don't know. I didn't really, I didn't talk to the real estate agent. I tried to get into it, but it was all secure and I have to go with an agent. But, the water is there. I mean, you can filter the water if you want it.
Okay. I'm a dowser. Demi, here's the rules. Here's the rules. First to find, first to write.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I can teach you how to look. I can teach you how to look. That's general. First to find, first to write. If you do it by dowsing, some people call it divining, whatever. But if you're out there spiritually looking for water and you locate the site and you drill a well and you hit water, it's yours.
Wow.
That's the big issue with my post office case. That's it. I've got water rights. You still have them for 5 years if I go back and have one glass of water in the next 2 years. But the other thing is septic too. Is it city water and stuff, or didn't really septic and water? That's number one.
Well, for the place in Parker that has the house, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, I'm assuming everything was connected to some city system. I don't know for sure though. I mean, it's at the river level really, because it's an island that is, it was probably at 3 or 4, maybe a little bit more, maybe 5 feet above river level. So I don't know what kind of a system they would have, if they could have a septic system or not. I don't know. But
Did you look at it Google Earth? Do you have neighbors?
yeah, you've got plenty of neighbors. Yeah, in that area you have it's a whole little development, so you probably have about 50 houses in there.
On your way there or back, did you happen to go through the Salton Sea area?
Yeah, actually, I just drove around the north part of it, and I always like to see the Salton Sea, and I walked down to it. Yeah, it's a little lower than it's been years previous, but it's not real bad. But yeah, I love that area. The Salton Sea is kind of, I don't know, intoxicating for me. Yeah.
Highly spiritual, strong area. I think that's why Jim is attracted to it. He's always been on it. There's a glass volcano to the south, though.
Well, that was my original area to do an eco village.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from just before we started this group. Like I said, I'd been on the road for about 6 months, traveling around and staying at different eco villages in California and Nevada, just to get information on how they started them up, how they run them, how they attract people to work and live there, and just putting together information, which I still have. But my first thought was to take advantage of the desert, because we're, what is it, 2 hours from Los Angeles, correct? That area?
Yeah, it's a little bit more, because it's about 230 miles to Blythe, so you could say maybe 200 miles to the Salton Sea. Yeah, it's 2.5 hours.
I was also involved with some groups that were working on restoring the Salton Sea.
Oh.
As you know, it's been polluted, and I don't know if you know the history behind it, but at one time the Salton Sea was a vibrant water and boating type community. A lot of people from Los Angeles had small cottages and homes out there.
Yeah.
That I believe it looks like a ghost town now from last time I was there.
Yep.
Monsanto didn't help with that, did they, Jim?
No, not at all.
But yeah.
I think most of it, it was agricultural runoff that polluted the waters and basically poisoned the waters. But there were groups that were supposedly working on restoring it by way of activated charcoal. Ken would probably know more about that than I, having to do with cleaning it up.
Yeah,
that would be great.
A group of dowsers would be able to work on that, Jim. A group. That would help anyways. Yeah.
Well, I've heard from people there, because I've been going there for a while, and I like I love Bombay Beach. I know it's just a wreck of a town, but there's something really delightful about that place. And they were talking about, people were saying, well, let's drain the Salton Sea and put up solar collectors, that sort of thing. I checked the depth on that thing, and the depth is, I think the deepest part is about 55, 56 feet, something like that. So it's not a real deep, sea. But they've been thinking of doing a lot of things to it. But, Slab City's down in that area too. And, Slab City is one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had, in being in such an environment where there are no laws. It's just incredible. You go in there and you walk up to the bar, and they don't ask you for your license because they don't have one either. And there's a sign, dogs must be on a leash, and half the dogs actually are. Nobody knew where the sign came from, but the other end of the leash isn't connected to anything. It is a place where I've never been in such a place before in my life. There are no laws. And there
Right.
is no, the police, the sheriff comes over occasionally, but Imperial County is the poorest in the state, so the last thing on their agenda is to worry about Slab City. So, you could do whatever you want there as far as, you don't have to worry about permits. So basically it's kind of the consent of your neighbors. And I love sculpture, so I was going to do some sculpturing. You just kind of like create a sculpture garden there where you're going to walk off the road and there'd be these cool sculptures and just for their enjoyment, But when you talk about doing an eco village in that area, I get excited because, in terms of practicality, laws, and so forth, well, I think it would be fascinating to do a village. I was at Colona de las Casas in Mexico. Anyone ever been down there? It's the most beautiful Mexican town, and I thought I would love to be able to reproduce this somewhere. It's just exquisitely beautiful. It is perfectly situated, so it doesn't have to be that exactly, but the streets all cobblestone or no asphalt. Jim, I would love the idea of putting in some kind of an eco village, which is expandable based on the kind of freedom and openness of Slab City. East Jesus is in Slab City. It's an artist colony. They have their own everything. They have their own solar panels. They have their own internet. They've got all this stuff, but it's all that they have created, and artists from all over the place come there. It's just,
Well, that's why I brought it up, because that's where I was headed after being up in Northern Cal and Nevada. I was coming south, and the next place I was going was Slab City. And I was on a train. I was on an Amtrak coming south, and I was on my iPad, and I pulled up some videos. And did I tell this story before?
Not to me.
Slab City was blown up.
Oh yeah.
I believe it was intentional. I never looked any further into it, but it stopped me from going out there because there was a major propane explosion, and there wasn't much infrastructure there to begin with. It was all, I believe they had a running waterway and a couple of showers, and like you said, a bar, but the rest of it was just, transients and anarchists. It's an anarchist community, no rules.
Yeah.
And, so the reason I'm asking is because that might be another place to explore. I don't know if anyone, went out there and tried to rebuild the original. Slab City was there for 30, 40 years, ever since the military gave that to a bunch of veterans. Yeah. But
well,
that'd be another place to explore.
Yeah, actually, I do remember. I guess it was you who said that about the explosion. I checked it out, and actually, it wasn't as bad. There was something that blew up, and it was a pretty good one, and they had the fire department there and all that, but it doesn't blow the city up. I don't think, and people move out of there pretty thoroughly in the summer when it's hot. So I don't think anything's changed. I think what they have done is they've introduced some kind of council or city council or something like that, which is guaranteed to just, make everything horrible.
It's the small town blues. Better fit in or you'll get run out of there, huh? FAE, fuel air explosive. It doesn't take much of propane, huh, guys and girls?
Well, I don't know about that, but I checked and it showed the excitement. There was a lot of, a lot of excitement, but it didn't sound like too much was really damaged permanently or whatever there is to be damaged there.
No radioactivity.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there's meth labs and they blow up every now and again, I suppose, or whatever. But I think that, I really like the idea of, when all this stuff with Kim and Thomas and all this, what I realize is this, is that it is the relationships we have with each other and ourselves. And if we don't get that right, it doesn't matter what we build. it's not going to stay. And so you get that straight, you get that worked out, and you can look deeper and deeper and deeper into yourself and with other people and get that down straight, and anything can be built from that. So I started out as a libertarian, and so, you know, but when it comes down right down to it, the most glorious night of my life was at Slab City, in the bar, or the stage. They created a stage out of the flotsam and jetsam of the desert. It was colder than hell. Well, for Minnesota, not, but, you know, for California, it was 40 degrees. They had 2 burn barrels. They had their bar on the stage. The dogs had free roam of the place. All the couches that you're sitting on were what people leave out to be taken by the trash. And, you know, the dogs were everywhere. The people, you know, there was order, but it's an incredible experience. And the happiness I felt is unlike anything I have ever experienced. I'm sitting there on a couch. A dog is on the back of the couch walking behind me. And, you know, there's a couple dogs fighting down there. The people are standing around the burn barrel, smoking meth and whatever else. And I'm realizing there are no laws. There are no laws here. There are no laws. And like the whole evening was like this, and I realized I can do anything I want. And they can too. And East Jesus has it's a clothing optional firing range. So if you want to fire guns in the nude, help yourself. So the people who were doing East Jesus, you know, they were wearing clothes at the time. It was too cold not to. I figured, yeah, there's always probably going to be 6 or 7 people packing a gun. So how much can happen?
Well, geez, depends on how pretty you make it and who wants to show up there. You better have some enforcement of some kind. That's what the post office is going to do with the trust. That's our enforcement. So, well, enforcement agency. But good luck with that. What year was that?
What year was that? 2000 and I'll say 13. Christmas. Now, to me, this is the challenge. The challenge is, how do we create something as free as Slab City and still provide the things we need to provide when they need to be provided? That's the challenge. But all I know, I was watching this couple, this young couple. She was probably about 18, he was about 18. And the music was going on the stage, and you had band after band, and they kind of cobbled together bands. And I watched her dancing. And you know that look of absolute bliss on somebody's face when their eyes just kind of form slits in their faces, and she's just smiling from deeply within herself. I'm just watching her with her boyfriend, and that's what you saw. The whole time they were there, she was doing this dancing, and it totally reflected the joy I felt. There are no laws. There are no laws. There are no laws. It's everything we do. There's a law for this. The light bulb has to be this size. It has to be the plug has to be like this. The step has to be this. On and on and on and on and on to the point you get nuts. And so this is the challenge to me. How do us create a society where we don't need all this shit?
Cosmic law and source.
But Ken, you know what is? We talk about the we, me, or the me, whatever, you know, the page. This is the kind of conversation we need to have, and this is the kind of.
See, I'm smiling.
Well, because regarding the postman, I know.
Are you done, Demi? I don't mean to interrupt. I don't know.
Sorry, but I think this is the kind of deep conversation, and we are moving on and rolling like the forwards, the ones we coming with this important stuff. Because what he's doing, he's questioning, what do we need to do instead of someone give us the recipe? You know? And thank you for your reflection, because this is the group that we have, and I love it. Thank you.
Thanks, Stella. And someone just showed up that hasn't spoken. Everybody else seems to have spoken tonight. Willow, you want to unmute?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm packing and dealing with financial stuff for my trip. Anyway, it's good to see everyone. Demi, I agree completely with you. I mean, this is why I love Mark Passio's work. He always begins his program, government is slavery, and he ends it, government is slavery, and that we need to, everyone needs to have a moral and ethical compass within themselves, treat each other with kindness, and we don't need any laws. We don't need policemen. You know, we don't need government. And I'm completely in agreement with you. Thank you for everything that you said. Anyway, it's good to see all of you.
Thanks, Will.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Willow. So, Jim, well, let's just sit down. We'll see what you have in mind, and we'll get our Slab City, we'll get our version worked out, and then we'll have we can have a meeting down there sometime or something. Well, I don't know. Well, it just is a nice thing to dream about, even if it doesn't, quote, happen, but to dream about it, to think about it. And you know something, I love the date palms, you know, the date palm orchards are the north side end of the Salton Sea. And I drove past, I filmed a long thing. I can't put it, it's too long to put on YouTube or MeWe, but they are just beautiful. They're just absolutely beautiful. And just to be able to drive by them, I would love to see, you know, a little eco village surrounded by date tree orchards. I mean, it'd be fantastic. Oh, anyway, and I love that area too.
Well, you know, we also need to stay focused on Ken's property up north, you know, and other places. If anyone else has any ideas on this, you know, originally that was my idea because, like I said, it kind of seems a shame to let the Salton Sea sit there polluted when it can be fixed.
I think the only way to do that is through Dowsing and Devine. I remember.
Well, like Willow mentioned, the biggest problem is state government.
Well, we can run them off. I mean, I'm not being crazy about it.
You know, they're the ones that created the problem.
Yeah,
it was a thriving beach community.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was maybe the 30s and 40s. If I'm not mistaken.
I think it was more the 60s because there's remnants that are still there, but they're not, you know, they're like ruins, but they're beautiful.
World War II, I think, yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, if the sea itself can be fixed by way of what Ken's talking about, or like I said, these groups, they were going to use some form of activated charcoal to clean up the waters and then restore it again. I think originally it was fed by the Colorado River, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? Yeah, there was an earthquake there, originally connected to the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of California. It was flooded at one time, but it is. I may be wrong, Jim. I think it would take a heck of a lot of charcoal and a lot of propane. But I'm not shooting you down. I'm just having a little fun with it. You know, you can hold water up, Demi, right to the sun in a glass jar, and you can talk to it and recognize it. And
I've heard this. Structured water?
Yeah, you see it. You not structured. I can take water out of the tap anywhere, hold it up. As long as I'm clear and I've cleaned done my shields up and all that stuff. center ground shield, all that stuff. Hold up the sun and just recognize, oh, you're so beautiful. And whapple. The water sees you. It's done. It's not be lessed. It's be moored. And it's alive. And it talks to me. It could talk to you. And Jim, that may be the way we have to do it because it's a big job. We just have to tell the salt to go away. We can redirect fresh water from underground aquifers. It's called redirecting. I'm not saying that one guy can't do it either, but that would be egotistical. It'd be good to have some help and have a few people involved. Some people with some knowledge of Monsanto and chemicals, that would help in the dowsing and healing industry.
I think the biggest problem is that we could clean it up, but it would just be turned into the same thing again because there's no stopping all that crap that's pouring into it from the south and anywhere else. So that would have to be handled. And I don't, then you get into the state, everything, all the politics and all the money in Monsanto. But it would be, it's a great dream, and I would love to see that revive because, you can see postcards of boats and hauling fish out that are like huge and people just having a wonderful time.
I remember people would swim in it and they'd float so high because of the salt level.
Yes. So, but it's a wonderful area. And where you are too, Ken, is a wonderful area. It's just beautiful. There's so many beautiful areas. And, I like the idea very much of some kind of and I want to say anarchy, but something that is, these off-world civilizations they talk about that we don't have government, we outgrew them,
Right.
That's something I think that, before THI and so forth, they never really thought about this seriously. It's not possible. But you know what? I think it is. I think that if I have it in me, then everyone has it in them. So, you're mute.
Doubt, division, delay not.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead. You had your hand raised, Estella.
With this post office, I don't know too much, but I kind of look into that. And a friend of mine kind of told me he initiated the paperwork with the post office where he got his passport as through the post office. And then the next step was to put his land also. So he's not under this government. He would be through the post office. If that is correct, and we purchase the land and we do the whole process with the post office, we completely go away from the laws.
And remember what Thomas said, and I'm with him on this, there's going to be a big shift here, anywhere from 80, 85%. Something's going to happen here with But, that post office, is the enforcement issue too, with, Thomas and Kim. They needed enforcement. That's the oldest law enforcement agency in the United States.
Yeah, there is a guy who has a website, and there are a lot of YouTube, and I listen because you need to learn the language, the grammar. So you are surveying, how you say it? Survey. You survey, like your
in persona propera. I've got that stuff. Yeah, it's kind of wild spelling.
Yeah, it's like the grammar. The guy decoded the laws and the language, and he established the U.S., I think, government, like from away, based on the Constitution through the post office. But I don't know if this is connected to Kim, and
it
the
is
Quantus.
Now. It is. It's not connected directly to Kim. It's the People's Trust, and she got. My information is, and the tumbler's turned, the key turned. Dang it! And whether it happens or not is not an issue. It's just that she needed a number to hack in there, and she did. And I have high hopes. And you're right. It's going to bypass the state laws, and it's a bank. It's a delivery service. It was everything back in 1857, I think.
As far as I know, this guy is a judge. I guess he does the paperwork, and then you have to pay like silver coins, like in the old way, to get your, I think are 5 coins of silver or 10 coins of silver to do your your documentation, and then your land is in gold, I guess.
Well,
But basically, you get the title of the land, you know.
it's called a land patent. Is that what you're talking about with a land patent?
I think something like that. So
Yeah.
because right now the land doesn't belong to you, it belongs to.
You're correct. The only thing, but it used to be that way. I mean, it depends on how you look at things, in my opinion. But in the old ways, they taught real estate agents. When I taught my mom, I said, "You don't own the house you're sold. You just sold in the air in the house." But that was a long time ago.
All right. We're at the top of the hour. We can call it a night or continue on.
I have a question for Willow. Willow, did you talk to Thomas or do you have any information?
Did I what?
Have you talked to Thomas or do you have any information?
No, I haven't talked to Thomas. I think who talked to him when he made his trip, I think it was the Arizona people, and I wasn't there. Why? Is there something that I should know?
The topic for tonight for discussion was where do you think we stand with the THI and the trust presently? Can you comment on that?
No, I was going to listen to the Zoom call after it's posted. I have no idea. I mean, I thought that everyone that followed Thomas was still going to be with THI. I didn't know anything changed. Is there something? Did it change?
You people have scrambled trying to follow the money.
What?
Well, I'm only aware. Jim may know a little more than I do on that, but
I see. 2 people left THI California.
Yeah, and there's some others within the main group that were bots. You know, when the money moves, you sit back and watch. If you even give the perception of the money moving, right? Sit back and watch, see what happens.
Well, it just shows what they're made of. It just shows their inner compass. It just shows their morals, their ethics, we don't need the money to do soul work. We don't need the money to do good out in the world, you know. That's the way I look at it. Whether we're with Kim or not, it doesn't matter. We could still try to move forward together. It would be nice if we got funding, but I just figure if it comes, it will come, and when it's time. But I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I mean, who left the group? Can you say?
I didn't know that anybody left.
Oh.
3. Let's see. There was 2 or 3.
Oh, you're talking about the main group.
No, I'm talking about anybody leave our group?
No, Ken's talking about the main group, I believe.
The main THI group that, like, the RV people, remember what happened with that?
Well, who left?
Well, I didn't write it down, but there were some people who were on the chat asking, did you see, they posted, hey, did you see this person and that person? And I didn't see what happened to them. And I noticed that there's a lot of new people on the chat. And then when Kim moved, man, everything just kind of changed. But it's not that criminal case, and with the quantum system, you'll review maybe the whole show, because Jim's recording it. I don't want to yak too much about it, but we got a criminal case we got in there. We got it. But if it's not, I mean, it's going to be okay, but if not, it's going to be okay.
Well, you know what? I just figure, I expected when this blew up that some people would move. I just expected it because they had investment in Kim. That's why. And they didn't have investment in themselves. They didn't have investment in the trust of Tommy. They didn't have investment in their group. They had the investment in Kim. That's the way I looked at it. And I was just so surprised at the frenzy. It was unpalatable to see the frenzy that people were going through with their inner. It was like an inner crisis, and it wasn't our fight. It was both of their fight, and they kept sticking their nose in it. And I was just so surprised at how they just freaked out. And everyone's saying, 45-55, 45-55. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys are freaking out for what? It's just, anyway, I think this is the most grounded group in all 50 states, and great people too. But, it's just, anyway, I don't know. My heart is still invested in this group, and, if I end up getting a house in Oregon, I'm hoping that I can drive here just to work on any project. But, I didn't know. I had been in and out of chat too. Like, there were very favorite people that I really liked what they posted. Like, one of the women that created the ebook, I forgot her name. Anyway, there were several people that I really liked, and I was actually shocked that they weren't there anymore. But I could completely understand given the way I was treated. But they wouldn't stick around because, anyway, I don't know. It's just my comments.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Everybody had already commented this evening, so I thought I'd get yours. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of times, Jim, you get too much of an earful. It's like, I don't know, I just think it was just, I'll tell you, the way I look at it is that, so if I worked with any of you for 4 years and we had a breakup, I just would not go on chat and talk about it. Period. I just wouldn't, because first of all, if I considered you a friend at some point, second of all, is that it's between you and me, and not 10 other people that wants to chime in. And third of all is that we all have egos, and fourth of all is that that what is said you can't take back. And just like I did last week, after swearing 5 or 6 times, I spent a good 3 or 4 days processing in my own shame. But yeah. We can't. You can't, especially if you discredit someone in the public. And I am absolutely sure that Kim has her own issues. She's a pistol. I mean, you own your own company. You make $1 million a month. You're a powerhouse within yourself. And Thomas too. Thomas is a powerhouse within himself. But I was just so shocked at how the THI members really addressed the issue. And the lack of boundaries just made me berserk, and they had no idea. And then they did it again. After I post, you know what, all of you should not have been piping in, and then they did it again. And so it's like a mommy daddy thing and parent and child thing. And I'm so I'm just surprised. And everyone talks on the shadow work and all of that. Well, you know what? Look at the boundary thing. The boundary thing is really, really important, and respect is important too. So I'm just glad that I kept my mouth shut the second time. I'm not going back on that chat. I got hit over the head 3 times. I'm good. I'm not going to get hit the 4th time. So I just stay away from chat, and I go, I don't go to the main page anymore, because, the way I look at it too is, it's not that I'm judgmental. It's just that what I perceive and what I see is that, what happened here with all the 4 years of the following of Thomas and the inner work and all that is that, they broke in pieces. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the inner work that you've done in 4 years? You break in pieces over.
What if it was on purpose, Willow? There's a possibility that, and Thomas, you know, he had a little chat with him. So let's sit back and see what happens now.
What do you mean it's on purpose?
Well, I didn't say it was. There's a possibility. I mean, there's a good way to clean the bots and find out who's after the money. We talked about this earlier before you came on. I won't go there, but that's possible. Don't you think? It sure did stir up the pot, didn't it?
It did. Big time. And I'm glad I wasn't swirling in there as well. But also, you know, as we come more into our own, and as we are responsible for our own thoughts and words and actions, and as we mature, quote, mature, that consciousness of going after the money or going after something outside of yourself, you know, it's going to rear its ugly head. And if it didn't now, it's going to do it in the future. And so, all I could say is, I hope that Kim is able to achieve what she's able to, but as far as I'm concerned, the foundation that she's standing on with Speak Project, I don't think is firm. And so, and only because of my own personal experience, email exchange with Dan Lutz, that I could say that. But we could just hope for the best. And if it's not the best, then we have to deal with it. I mean, look what we've dealt with hundreds of 400 years of the Rothschilds. So, and from what I've seen is that Kim had done her best. But, you know, it also could be is that the way I look at it is that in the whole planet, in all the organizations, Tank is the only one that has projects that are solidified. He's got 500. This is what I've only heard on his podcast. He's got 500 projects ready to go. All of them have been, everyone that submitted and joined Go Camelot has had a FBI check, and they have their name in a trust so that when they're funded, then it goes into their trust. And I can't say that about THI. And so, and so I could understand why people who've been following Tank would jump ship. I could understand that. I wouldn't do that because I don't work with people that have low principles. I'd rather work by myself, you know, and who slide in their morals and ethics. But all I could say is that how do you manage 500 projects with a sliding scale of moral and ethics and principles with 500 people? Good luck with that. That's all I could say.
Yeah, did you research the FBI paperwork and the paper trail?
No.
Okay.
No. I came to this conclusion because I listened to Tank and Dan for 6 weeks, 2 to 3 programs a day when I was in the motel healing, and so I got a sense of really Tank's abilities and Dan's strengths and how they came together as a team to work in the way they work. Now, if they did not have it, so this isn't just my opinion, if they did not have Kim as a resource, their program would be just like any other program on YouTube. But the fact is that Kim would pipe in, because that's the first thing that Dan would say is, have you heard from Kim? And so, but I also understood that Tank's his knowledge, I think a lot of knowledge actually came from Dan about the political past and his perception of what's going on, whereas Tank, I think, it didn't have the depth that Dan had, and that's why the relationship worked so well. The problem is that both of them blatantly lied about Kim and revealing where she lived blatantly on air, and then they in my emails they covered up, they made excuses. So to me, and they could have fixed it, they didn't. So to me, actually, after listening to them, all those podcasts, I just came to the conclusion that these good luck with that, Kim. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Did you notice a change in Tank in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
I haven't watched him since then. I don't want to let him in my consciousness, because
right,
when we watch someone, we let them in our consciousness.
I only watched the Kim video. That's the only one I watched, and we talked about that earlier. When you review the tape or recording, you'll hear us talk about that. But something happened, and we talked about it. Kim won't have access if there is such a thing. She's not going to have access with her if she was compromised. So, but we can talk about that another time.
Okay, Philip's got his hand raised.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Willow, what happened that the group, half the people dropped out of the food group you were running, and no need to film it anymore? What happened?
Oh no, that was Kimberly.
That's Kimberly.
Kimberly, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Thanks.
I hope she's okay.
Yeah, she's just taking a break tonight.
Oh, good.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sorry, confusing.
Yeah, no, that's okay. My son's still going to buy that camera. So he's going to buy a camera, and I'm hoping that he'll use it.
Why is he going to get a camera? Because the video camera is just going to do video. If you get a new iPad, it will do great video and hook up sound, and then you can edit and all that stuff on it and use it for multiple things.
I'll talk to him about it. He told me he knows what that is.
That's my thought. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same money or similar money, and multi-purposes, etc. And it's really easy to hold it, just hold it and see what you're filming, and etc. So, and they've got great cameras on them, so it's a very popular way to do it. And then you can hook it up with, stands onto a tripod and, everything. So.
And they are susceptible if you don't get your firewalls. I know a guy, a couple of people here in town that just wiped their whole iPads because they wanted to have them go buy another one. They lost everything they had because they didn't have any security. They said, Macs don't get viruses.
No, I'm not saying that at all. But, fine, if you get the camera, you still have to download it into something else in order to edit it.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying.
I'll let him. I'll talk to him again before I leave.
So the camera is only for a camera.
Okay.
And you'll get great video similar on the iPad, and it's multi-use. That's all I'm saying. Sure, you've got to go and get security.
Yeah.
all that stuff, but you're going to have to with a computer in order to edit this stuff anyway.
Okay.
Enough. That's it. Thanks.
All right.
Anyone else? Everybody had enough?
I wanted to ask also, I put it in chat, but I haven't gotten an answer. So I'm relatively new to the group. Was there a group of 50 that formed and then this became a spillover second group forming or what? How did all that happen? There was something about that earlier.
Actually, we had 70 members at one time between both sites, MeWe and Facebook. We had combination 70 members, but when the THI admins requested that we all fill out our profiles, such as you did, Philip, the people who did not produce the profiles were removed. So we're down to, I think it's like 35. And there were other people.
Is that just for California or?
Yes, on both pages, Facebook and MeWe have a combination of 35 members. And there's still some that really don't participate at all. But, since we're not connected with THI, so to speak, no one's been removed since.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Because I still cannot connect the dots. So we start as a THI and then suddenly we start with the People's Club, right?
We were never connected to the People's Club. That never came about. But it will, I believe, eventually when seems like when things get ironed out. I'm just assuming that Thomas will start the People's Club again with. Go ahead.
Is it possible to ask him if he can have a Zoom call with us?
He already did.
Yeah, he did. Like, I don't think you were there. Yeah, you were there, Estella. Thomas was on.
I know,
about,
but that
about
was
a month
before.
ago.
Yeah, but that was before the rock and roll.
I can see what you're saying, and I think we just should leave things the way they are presently. There's just so much going on. I wouldn't want to ask the guy, tell you the truth.
Just let him just sit back and watch them flail. I would say. I gotta go, y'all. Love you. Have a good evening.
Okay. Good night.
Okay. Good night, Ken.
Bye.
So Jim, we're not part of the People's Club right now or THI.
Right. Remember, probably 3 weeks ago, maybe a month, Thomas came on and said that all the state groups are now on their own. We're not connected to either.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's not to say that in the future, I don't think we'll ever be connected with THI again. And he said that would happen from the beginning. Eventually THI would go away and we'd have to start our own website and, conduct our own business and whatnot in our own states. But, I think for the purpose of funding, we were all going to be reconnected with the TPC. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens on that.
When I guess the source was supposed to flood starting today, right? June 17th to the 24th. Isn't that what Kim reported?
Heard something to that effect.
Today to the 24th. And people say because source is flooding the planet, everyone's going to have to face their shadow. The frequency of behaviors are going to rise, to be addressed. I think that's always within reason. Everyone has a choice. Everyone has a sliding scale, ethics, morals, and principles. And everyone, I don't think that source has a lot to do with these choices. And so I just think that, how everything plays out, it's all we can do is just focus on our own internal journey, move forward with the best that we can, because you are always going to have people. Do you honestly think that the moral ethics and principles of Dan and Tank is going to change simply because of Source's energy? It's an outside force. The internal force is what is really the power. It's the power within. And I learned that long ago when I took ayahuasca. Everyone kept saying, ayahuasca will set you straight. Ayahuasca will put you back on the right path. And yet they had dark shamans that took hundreds of their ceremonies and they still practice unethical behavior. So anyway, I don't put that power outside. And so, as all this stuff is going on, I'm thinking, wow, that's interesting. Wow, well, that was quite a wave of the Thomas's members. Anyway, that's just the way I view it. And so I'm hoping, because this group deserves the best. You guys are just the best. And all of us putting our best self forward here with high ethics, morals, and principles, and with good intentions and really caring for each other. I've seen nothing but kindness here. And so I just think this is what they all need to form going forward. And what's very interesting about social media is that you actually get a flavor as to the level of, consciousness that people have, given how they treat each other and talk to each other. And, I was having this conversation with my relative tonight, and he was showing me these two racist videos that are going on, and I guess these two women lost their jobs. I think one was in New York and another one was someplace else. And the social media is so cruel on these two women. And I said to my relative, I said, you know what? These women made a mistake. And they didn't make a mistake privately. They made a mistake internationally, where thousands of people are watching this video and thousands of people have judgment on them. And it is so difficult that when we make a mistake, that we make it just in front of one person, it's so difficult. And then to have to say, I'm sorry, and to own it, that's the second thing. And all these people on social media are not forgiving them. And they lost their jobs. It's humiliating. They're just, and I'm thinking to myself, this is humanity. Forgiveness of what they do, because it's their karma. It's not our karma. It's their karma. And to just be gracious to understand that they said, I'm sorry, and to let that go. And, the what I see on social media that forgiveness is just not there. That understanding to put yourself in that person's place is just not there. And that really shows to me emotional and mental intelligence. Forgive me if I'm talking too much. But that's the way I view it. And I think with the THI chat, I saw the same thing. I saw how disrespectful it was, and I figured one of these days I was going to get it. Well, I got it. And so I could just make the choice to walk away. I felt I dealt with it by just saying, you don't like my post, so I'm leaving, instead of saying, you know what, I'm 60 years old, don't yell at me that way, which what I wanted to say, but I didn't. I just stepped away because he's got an ego, and he's going to have to hold that his rudeness to me has made me unwelcome in the THI chat, including all those yippers that hit the emoji. And so that's my way of pulling in grace. And then I just vomited to you guys. But do you understand what I'm saying? That even in social media, there's a subtlety, there's a subtleness that, and I wonder that in social media, if Lee, who yelled at me, would have said that to my face, and the other people that hit the emojis would have said, yeah, Willow, shut up, but people don't have that ability to be able to put themselves in that person's place. Just like those two women that did racist things that went viral, and they said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the person. I'm sorry to the family. I'm sorry. And still there's no forgiveness.
Well, social media has a savagery to it. And this is what I first noticed, because I didn't do any chatting or anything like this, and I thought I was going to have a discussion like I do with people face to face. And it is a totally different world where there is no consequence to saying cruel, rude, hurtful, vicious, idiotic things to each other. And so if the person was in your presence, you would never do that. You would never even think of it. But social media has this savagery to it. And as for what we've gone through in the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty bad for me. And I saw what happened on Sunday. I thank God I wasn't there participating. But I have to say this about both Kim and Thomas, is that these two people have borne an unbelievable amount of stress and weight for everybody in the last 4 years. I don't know if I would have would have waited 4 years to crack. I think I would have gone a lot sooner. I mean, a lot sooner.
Yeah.
And that when Kim said, remember Christmas, at the Boxing Day thing, and what do you want for Christmas, Kim? And Kim said, a vacation. And then she turned to Thomas and she said, and Thomas, what do you always tell me when I say that? And Thomas said to her, it ain't happening.
Yep.
These two people are, what they have done individually and together is so phenomenal, is so huge. And the stress is beyond anything I would even want to contemplate. Kim getting up in the middle of the night to another attack. I mean, on and on and on like this. So,
yeah.
And so, when it comes to social media, we are not equipped very well to deal with each other on a higher level on social media. We turn into the worst we can be. And fortunately, I've learned enough so that I don't usually fall into that, because when I do, it's just a waste of time. But to see it happening in here, THI, it's like, and even Kim and Thomas, it was pretty tough, and so I guess at the end of the day and the beginning of the day, we're still human, but we would never behave that way in each other's presence. Never. If somebody did, they'd be drunk or they'd be thrown out of the bar. But, that's how it is. And so that's why bringing into big problems into social media can be pretty awful. And
it was, because
it was horrible. Yeah. It was absolutely horrible. And I pointedly asked, and I'm really much better at this, at having to go through this stuff. I mean, I get riled and excited, but when it really comes down to it, I always like to keep it within the realm of facts and rationality, because that's the only thing that's going to save you in a situation like that. And so when I asked Thomas a few days before this thing on Sunday, or maybe the day before, if he still thought Kim should be removed from the council and blah, 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 or the trust, that's the only thing I care about. You know, what I care about, I don't care about the money, what the trust has. What I care about is getting rid of these bad people who infested us, who are blocking us. We'll figure everything out. We have to anyway. That's what the funding is all about. We figure out the solution. We figure out the project. We execute the thing. We're going to do that anyway. The hell with the money. We can get by without that. What I can't get by with is these 37 million clowns or all the other things that are there blocking everything we're doing and stifling us. And to me, it's really scary because, you know, now that we have no longer any contact through Thomas of what Kim is doing, as far as I'm concerned, she is the only one that can actually pull this thing off and stop this dead in its tracks. And, you know, I don't know if she's the only one, because, you know, I have no problem to reach out to the council and tell them my opinion. You know, it's fine. And I hope that they will respond. But we have this infection. We have this terrible infection that, as Thomas put it, that every single, even the remedies, legal remedies, are worthless because the whole legal system is corrupted. There is no way to get higher than this and get rid of it and crush it. So that's our problem, and that's why it's so concerning to me. You know, and as far as Kim and Tank, that's, oh boy. So I think, you know, I don't know what the solution will be for that. I mean, you know, it could be just failure and failure.
I'm in complete agreement with you. I'm so thankful for both of them, what they've done. As far as the laws, they're invalid. We are sovereign. She already filed on January 3rd, 2017. It came through in December, and Donald Trump received a letter of declaration that America is sovereign, which means we are no longer under British law. And I just don't understand why that has not been overturned in the courts, because legally the British laws are invalid at this point in time.
But we have to abide by the law. Somebody has to. There's no enforcement.
You mean the common law courts now?
Yes,
it needs to. I don't know how that would work. I mean,
this is part of what Kim is doing. Kim is doing two things, as I see it. One is she's doing this thing with the United News channel, which is informational. The other is the life force. Now, the life force is it's like the Space Force, the Air Force. It's a force. And so this is what she is using to enforce common law. And as I see it. And that's what she actually is going through the post office. She's not going through the Department of Justice with that. Now, these two things are both highly operational. Normally she sits way behind the background and does all this stuff, but this is coming out into the open. And she is attempting, as I see it, to enact, not just here, but using the military or the key intelligence and military system that she's developed to pull this together, to vet people, to see if they can be in this life force that is actually going to be enforcing. So what she's attempting to do is she's attempting to create an enforcement as well as an informational dimension to what her work is. Now, for this purpose, she's chosen Tank to do it. Now, Tank, for what he has done, he has created Lawful America. He has created Create Change. What else has he created? He's created Go Camelot. And he's created these things. And so Tank, Thomas is more the cerebral. Tank is the action.
Yeah.
And Dan Lutz is the action. And that is, I think, what is attracting Kim very strongly.
Exactly. That's how I view it too, Demi. It's just like, what else, what other format does she have? There
Well,
is
that's the
none.
thing. Well, wait a minute though. Because she has us. She has
But
you.
she-
She has me. She's got Jim Wall. She's got everybody who's sitting here, on the screen. Well, not have us exactly, but this is what she's attempting to do. And so what I'm thinking is, okay, yeah, I mean, your concerns about Tank, I've been thinking about this all week. I posted some things so people get more out of it. He's somebody who gets things done. He's somebody who can work at this level. Thomas is not. Thomas could never quite get this right to do all the things he wanted to do. So, somebody comes along and disrupts the whole thing and the whole thing falls apart. Tank has got some of these qualities. But I'm looking now at this and, I don't know how I can do things, get involved or whatever, but this is what Kim is trying to do, as far as I see it. The informational thing and the enforcement thing, which he's already run through the post office. It's already going through, apparently Trump has already given his blessing or whatever, and the key intelligence military system will do the vetting worldwide. So, taken back, and then unfortunately this unfortunate period has just finished, and I think everyone's kind of licking their wounds and kind of settling down and like, okay, well, we're going to go forward. Everyone's in a lot of pain, but I do want this of hers to go forward. I want to see the United News Network working. I'm already pitching it to people. I'm saying to a friend in Costa Rica, I'm saying, Carol, you can contribute from Costa Rica. You can contribute. And all over the world, people are going to be seeing this. So this is going to be probably a messy business. And, but if we can form this and bring this, we will step outside of their system.
It would have been nice. It would have been nice if Kim, when she left THI, give at least a validation for Thomas's group to continue working on your projects. Do what you can. I'll try to help you in the future. Instead, she left by saying, "Go ahead and keep talking bad about me. I'm done with you." With you and your group.
Right. And is that the way somebody asked, is that the way you want to leave us? And her last word was, yes. Okay. Look, I agree. And I agree. You said it. She's a pistol. She's a 6-gun on each hip. Okay.
Yeah.
This is, and I've seen her when she got in it with Anna von Reitz. Jesus God. I mean, it was like a mud wrestling match. It was dirty. It was ugly. Kim has this aspect to her.
It's needed.
She did. I would not want to be on the wrong side of her if I were to the clown table. I mean, she would smoke the whole room.
Yeah,
and I know. No regret. So we're dealing with somebody who has this enormous creativity, energy, and so forth. But at the same time, Philip, I guess I'm talking too much. But anyway, this is something that is very, very important. We're coming out of this shambles of what has occurred in the last 2.5 weeks. The emotional wreck. I've been an emotional wreck for 2 weeks, in a total mess on Sunday after I followed it, going, Jesus God, what are you? Thomas is saying you only give me half a hug, and Kim is saying, what are you guys doing? And I think that there's like every relationship, there's always way more below the surface. Kim's a very attractive woman. Thomas is not exactly ancient. And, and he can say, oh, it's not romantic. So, okay, fine. But, there's always that stuff that's lingering way deep below and it kind of bubbles up sometimes. We don't know what's going on. It could be anything. So, plus all the clowns, and they've had a lot of fun together. When when they roasted the Bank of England and they put Katy Perry's Fuck You and it ran all day. They've had a lot of fun together too. So, I just wish them both well, and we'll just step away from all of this. So we'll have to deal with Tank, deal with Kim, and I do want these two things to go forward. And I don't trust Tank, quite frankly, and yet at the same time, you've done some very, very good stuff, and he's taught me a lot as well. So I think he's sloppy more than anything.
Yeah, I agree.
I think sloppy is more the word. Yeah, I guess I let her. I was watching him at Babylon Library when I was looking for that thing, and the day before, and he's saying, "Well, this is my personal number." He's telling just the people in the audience, a small audience, "This is just my personal number, and I'm going to give it to you." And Lisa's the producer. She says, "Tank, do you want this to be, the sound to be killed here?" And he said, "Oh yeah, kill the sound." So she killed the sound, and then he stood in front of the group and spoke the numbers, and you can read his lips, just giving his personal phone number off to everyone who's watching the video. This is the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
He's sloppy.
Yep.
And that's something we have to contend with. That's something Kim has to contend with. And so that's the new lay of the land. I don't think there are many people in this world Kim can really trust. I really think that's I think he's down to Ava Cohen, and everyone else has pretty much fled the coop. And that's got to be a terrible place to be a lot of times. So anyway, I'm sort of got it all out here, so I'll be quiet for a while.
No, I'm in total agreement of everything you said. And so all we can do is just give them both our best, including Thomas. I still support Thomas. I had a good day yesterday. I told 3 people about them, and they wrote it down and put it in their phone. But again, I think that there were some interpersonal things going on. It doesn't matter how powerful a person is. The inner work still has to be done with all of us. It doesn't matter. And I think there are a lot of things that why should we know? It went on between those two, and there's a certain level of respect. But what they've done, thank you. We appreciate it. Everything that you've done, and we'll support you continue in the success. And we could just hope for the best. In the meantime, we could all still do our inner work and just keep tightening our ethics, morals, and principles, and do our best and treat each other kindly and respectfully. That's the way I look at it. I'm just thankful I'm in this group. You guys are great. Thank you so much for who you are.
Well, thank you, Willow. You've contributed a lot, and everybody has. This is, and this is really nice because this is a very civil group. Can get very, very excited at times, and to me, it just seems like this is the way to be. I mean, this is unusual. This is the normal, and so I really love that. I am really concerned. I'm concerned about Kim. Thomas, I think he's in a better place than Kim is right now. I'm really concerned about her, and she doesn't really, thank God for Ava, because she is, I think, is a true friend and truly loves Kim and has been there through thick and thin. I really hope so. But, I think it's up to us, but I'm going to just lay it on me. It's up to me to decide how I'm going to get involved in pushing this thing, the UNC forward, and the space or these life force. And Tank is an imperfect person, and if Tank is going to be looting and reading and blah blah blah, this is so important that it goes forward. This is Kim's attempt. It's a major attempt. So maybe that as we move forward now in the weeks to come, this would be a really good forum for us to discuss this, to do our own work on this, and to really look at this, because what we lack, and I've been saying this since I joined last August, and everyone has, we lack is if 100 people knew what I know, or what you know, or any of you, this would be a different world. That period, just knowing it. Yeah. And then we have this force that we can say, Well, let's say, for instance, there are 500 people who joined the Life Force in California, got their certificate from, Key Integrated, Key, whatever, Intelligence Military System through that. And there are 500 people, and those 500 people are now connected in a very specific way, in a lawful, natural, lawful way. And now 500 of those people show up in front of the nation, the state's capital. It's a much different situation than if you just get a bunch of phone prompters and they're sitting 500 people. And these aren't going to be just, fly-by-night people. They're going to be people who have some commitment and some depth. This kind of hard diamond tip can penetrate a lot. And I think that's what Kim has in mind. You don't need everybody. You need like a few percent to make a difference, the right percent. So this is a chance. Maybe we have the council is not going to get rid of the clowns, apparently. 37 million. They're not going to do it. So that's our mess to clean up. That's how I see it. So I'm going to be spending, as I'm coming out of this, I've been really upset. I mean, really, and it'll take a while. But I want to connect with Tank. I want to see what they're doing. I want to see where Kim is with this. And I want to see what I can do myself to bring whatever I can do. And I hope everybody is kind of on that page too, because this is the new push.
Demi,
okay.
I agree with you. When I listened to Kim, when she described the Life Force, she not only talk about the, protection, she also calls for any technologies, people with technologies, or people with healers or naturopath. And what resonates to me with that is everything what we talk and discuss in our group, but implemented in a completely different way. Maybe there is a reason why she made that sudden, quick change. And maybe we don't know the reason. And I support what you're saying, and I really would like to, I agree. I resonance with your thinking. So you have me.
Stella, you asked me if I had spoken to Thomas, and I just remember when all this happened, I did send him a private chat, and he wrote to me. He said that Kim doesn't know the extent of what he reports on the show. She's busy with her own things, and that she contributed very little to the intel. That it was his research, and he's the one that wrote all the shows. He's the one that researched all the shows, and he's the one that reported the shows. That she only had a very small amount of intel that she would contribute. And I said to him, this is right before his last Thursday show, I said, this is something that would be a good idea to report to your listeners. Because when I actually look at Thomas, I'm always astounded at not only history, but science, medical, world affairs, the deep state. I'm just so astounded of what he had written, what he had reported. And so I think that the group, the THI group, did not have that trust, the wholehearted trust and investment in Thomas. And this is why when Kim broke up with Thomas, that it was devastating for them. But I have to agree with what Thomas said, because the investment of 10 hours a day in creating one show, that's huge. And it was him that did it. Kim didn't do it. Thomas stands on his own merit. And I've always felt that. I've always knew that. I remember when I met him in 2017, I spoke with him for 5 hours. And the first thing I said to him is, I said, Thomas, you can't even trust me, because he just couldn't trust anyone. And as you've seen, all the people that had betrayed him over the last 4 years has been so extensive. But Thomas is extraordinary in his skills, talents, and ability of what he's presented for humanity for years and years of study. He's just extraordinary. That's my belief on it. I had just remembered that email. I could read it to you from the chat if you want me to. I can pull it up and I could read it word by word of what he said. And I did, I'm so glad that he was able to take that trip to Arizona to meet the friends that he's been chatting with all these years, Stephanie and Michelle, and I don't know who else was there. I saw the picture, and that he was able to get a support, because I think the blow and the impact that the THI group fell apart. They were so in dire strait of panic, rather than staying firm within themselves. If I held a group, then and they were having trouble, like children, I would be concerned about them too. But my concern was with Thomas, because he was the one that was being targeted, and we didn't have the full story, and so we still don't, and it's none of our business, quite frankly. But I just look at Thomas's and his skills. I look at his heart. I look at everything that he's contributed, and I'm so incredibly thankful. So anyway.
Has anyone even asked? I was under the impression that they lived under the same roof. So has anyone even asked Thomas if he has moved or where he had intentions of going?
I did, I guess, in a roundabout way, but I had sent a chat saying, now that I thought that Kim was selling her house, but he says that no, she doesn't have a house to sell. So, I don't know. I think he would have reported that on chat if he wanted people to know. I myself, when I talked to him, that time that I met him, I don't ask personal questions. Mm-hmm. I figure he will tell me what he wants me to know. That's, I have very much respect for people in that way. And again, the first thing I said to him, I said, Thomas, you can't even trust me. People try to kill him. And so, this is why it made me angry that Tank outed him and Dan outed him. And that, because I know what it's like to be in Thomas's presence, and him not always has to scan the environment to make sure he's safe. And so, but my concern was not only his emotional well-being, but, the ego, the betrayal of working side by side with someone for 4 years, and then they stopped talking to him, and we just don't have all the answers, and it's not for us to judge either. That's their relationship. Unfortunately, it happened, and it happens. It happens. Marriages. I was married for 17 years. I thought I'd never be divorced, but we outgrow each other, and who knows, maybe they outgrow each other. But I do completely understand why Kim would jump over to Tank's venue and to use his resources. I completely understand. I was very impressed with Lawful America and all the people on chat. They were professional, they were sociable, and they were respectful. And so.
Willow, this thing with Tank and outing Thomas, I was thinking about that this week, and, I think all the stuff Tank has done, people who never do much don't make big mistakes. They don't make many mistakes. People who do a lot can make big mistakes. And I think it would be great. And I think if I ever get a chance to see him, if you don't, well, I won't use your name, but I would like to confront him with this person on person and just, because if this is a one-off or just something that he would acknowledge, yes, I really blew it, it would make me feel a lot better. But I don't know what other stuff is in that closet either. But I do know that he has done this work with Lawful America. It's truly incredible as far as I'm concerned, the audacity of it and the foresight of it. And sometimes, you know, you have to take, well, do I have nothing, or how much weight can you put on him? I'm going to have to find out myself. But I'm very glad to know what you have said, and it does disturb me, and I want to look at this more because I remember this, but I wanted to know where Kim lived. I mean, just curiosity, but I'm not going to jeopardize her in any way, nor to, you know, even make that wish to consciously. But and Tank said something like, well, I can't say, he wouldn't say it because he said somebody was complaining or something. That's why I didn't learn it at that time. So he said something about this. If I can find it, I will, and I'll let you know. But irregardless of that, I mean, it's a major thing because somebody's life was actually potentially put at risk.
Two of them, 2 lives. Thomas's two.
Two lives of 2 highly important people, thanks to somebody's carelessness and unwillingness to go back. So yes, that's really important. Right now,
he could have. They could have cut off the last 4 minutes. The last 4 minutes of that podcast, they refused to. There was a whole week that went by, and he had a whole week or a whole day actually to address it. Because I sent the email, he reported the next day, and then he just shoved it off. And I think the reason why he shoved it off is because there are issues, there are interpersonal issues going on with Tank and Thomas. That's why. And as Thomas stated, Tank wanted his job. And so I think that's why he didn't care.
That's not a reason to jeopardize somebody's.
Exactly.
Right, you know.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean,
and so that is something I will I told in great concern, but I want to see this go forward. And if Tank is going to go forward, he has to stay on some kind of a track. If he doesn't, then somebody else needs to be available to step in. Now, I don't think I want to be that person, but you know, this is so important. If Kim can do this, the excitement of it, you know, is just incredible because it's essential that people learn this, because again, I don't care about the funding in it. It's what's necessary is to get this into people's heads and to change this so that we don't have these parasites ripping us apart and destroying every single thing we do. And I'm following the vaccines now. Good God. It's absolutely horrible what Gates and all these other people are doing. This is a disease that needs to be stopped. And unfortunately, we may not have the best people we would like to working to stop it. But the people who are coming at us, and James Corbett, if anyone's familiar with him, is fantastic. He's just done a major work on Who is Bill Gates, 2 hours plus. I'm watching it, and it's sickening. And the whole thing is to enslave and to destroy all of us. So this is what we're really dealing with right now. And if this is all we've got, if Tank is all we've got, and Kim, you know, then I have to decide, and I've already kind of started to get involved with UNC.
Yep. And
I'm probably going to get more involved. I'd rather be on a beach in the Bahamas just sitting around watching the sunset, you know, but it's never mind. I mean, this is so important, and
contributing, forward to whatever we can for the masses. That's what's important. I completely understand Kim's decision, completely. Because this is not what she's doing, she could not do that with the THI members. She just couldn't. We don't have the format, and we're so scattered, and we're immature on top of that. And so, I understand her decisions. What remains to be seen is to, in the same way Tank refused, and Tank and Dan did not promote THI on Thursday, the Thursday shows. What remains to be seen is that will Thomas promote UNC,
I think
for the masses.
There's so much pain there that it may be too soon. But I also think, as far as Tank in the long run, I do not feel confident on putting a lot of weight on him, and I think that that's just going to be part of this going forward. But I'm, what has started is very, very, very possible and promising. And when people begin to realize how this really is set up, and realize that this is completely separate from all the other crap, it could be what we need to turn this around. And meanwhile, we can also be looking for other people besides Tank and Dan to fulfill the kinds of things that need to be fulfilled.
Yeah, I agree with you exactly what you said. My hope is that those people that try to raise their consciousness as much as they can will eventually find their way there to move forward and to help where they can. That's all we could do at this point.
We're going to find them. They're going to find us. Oh, I'm just looking at 1 in 100, and I'll take 1 in 1,000, because we don't need that many. It's one tells another one, and they know a few people that are really good, and that's how it works, little by little. We don't need all the masses. What we need are those key people who are hungering, like we were when we were struggling to find this. Yeah. And then they get this and that's going to change, and at some point there's going to be some being of great genius or whatever that's going to come forward and just wham, and just the potential is going to be enormous, and we won't know who that person is, but that's the person who will be found and who will find this. And that's because we're really looking at I'm looking at a very, very serious situation that's coming at us really hard and really fast with all this shit from all this, and I know Ken's great. And all that, but I'm looking at the practicality here too, and it's concerning me a lot. And so we don't have any time to waste. That's my thinking now.
Agree. We don't have time. We have to keep moving forward. I mean, Mark Passio has been teaching for over 12 years, and he's got thousands of people that follow him. And he says the same thing that Thomas says. But his mannerisms are something that a lot of people can't swallow. But everything that he says is there's no dessert, there's no vegetables, it's all meat. And with the emotions that go with it. But the man has read 8,000 books. Who on the planet has read 8,000 books? And knows the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the Second Amendment like the back of his hand. And I don't mind that he every other word is profanity. I think he's earned it, and not people. He's not palpable to people that have no interest in the occult, which is a Satanism, what Thomas talks about. And so so the UNC will be wonderful for the mainstream of those people. So just like I bridged Thomas and Mark Passio, in my opinion, has been one of my greatest teachers, as well as Thomas. But UNC could teach the masses, and that's what we need.
Well,
So
they need a lot of stuff, and it's you know, it isn't just in a more abstract way. It's what is really happening, you know. And Kim is setting this up so that yeah, you can get on. And my friend in Costa Rica, if something goes down in Costa Rica, I'll just Carol, what's going on down there, and off she goes to get it. This is the kind of stuff you could do, and the other stuff is it's in its infancy now, and you know, so I'm going to nurse this along. I'm going to keep posting stuff about it, and so everyone got a little bit more information. At least I was able to dig that up on Tank, which I had known before when I watched that. And I want to keep going with this UNC stuff and see what we can make of it. What we can make of it, because Kim can't do this by herself, and she's certainly, I mean, it's going to take more than Tank, in my view. But this is a chance for me to be able to start telling people, hey, this is what's happening. And that's gold. And then the other is the life force, which is an enforcement aspect of this.
I'm hoping that Thomas will continue his Thursday shows.
Oh, I hope so. I expect he will. You won't?
I don't know. I'm hoping that he will. Because I'd rather just get my information once a week than having to listen to Dan or Tank. I don't know how long, if UNC is going to be daily or whatever.
I don't think it's going to be much Dan and Tank, actually. I think there's going to be a lot of other people involved, and Dan or Tank is going to be more the, you know, somebody behind the scenes, you know, organizing things and running things. I don't know how much is going to be involved, but I don't think there needs to be much of him. But it's everything that he's doing that has to concern us. No, I hope Thomas is going to continue doing what he's doing. I don't see any reason why not. But you know, he's got to go through some pretty hard stuff, because I don't think he was expecting what Kim did. And then Randy Moggins, I mean, that broke my heart.
Yeah, me too. And Jimmy Brent, I just can't believe it. You know, I just can't believe it. He just seemed like a decent guy.
May I ask what exactly happened with Randy Moggins?
Well, I don't know.
Yes, I saw the podcast. I actually, after Thomas reported it that Randy Moggins turned on him, I actually listened to that podcast, because I've been listening to Randy Moggins and Shane for a long time, and both of them were on a show together, and both of them discredited Thomas as being fake, and the People's Club was fake. They basically betrayed him. And Thomas had an investment of friendship in Randy Moggins. Not so much Shane, but Randy Moggins.
I think Randy Moggins introduced Shane to Thomas.
Yeah. It's just a sad thing. So, I just find Thomas, it's extraordinary. The pain that he's gone through with betrayal, the trust that he's, you know, when you have friendships, you open up your heart.
Oh.
And through connection and conversing, you then start to develop love, and then trust, and to have that betrayal is just, and then it's not only a personal betrayal, it's a betrayal right in front of everybody. And you know, Thomas has got he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's really a beautiful, beautiful man. And, it was disappointing. I kind of, I saw the video of, one of the latest videos of, Shane and Randy Moggins together. And what really struck me, actually really struck a very, raw chord in me, was when Randy Moggins asked him, you know, what kind of movies do you watch, Shane? And he says, well, I just recently watched the whole series of that Halloween Massacre, you know, and he says, I says, he said something like, you know, why did you choose that? He says, well, you know, I just wanted to. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, that when I heard that, I thought to myself, wow, you know, why would you watch a whole series of the Halloween Massacre? You know, I mean, that's not something I would even consider doing.
He was tortured as a child, I think.
Exactly. So it shows the level of healing that that has taken place.
Yeah. Oh, that hasn't taken place.
It hasn't taken place.
It's hard to imagine the kinds of things that those kids are put through, to imagine how anything could ever heal it. And so I heard Shane talk about it a little bit and how he didn't, you know, they started later with him and it didn't have such an effect on him. But I mean, you know, he's watching that kind of crap. There's nothing in there except horror.
Exactly.
You know,
and
slaughter.
Jay Parker, if you want to know who speaks just in detail, Jay Parker grew up with the DuPont family. And I saw him at the Mark Passio conference in 2016 in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to, I listened to Jay Parker, and Jay Parker basically tells you exactly, you know, what kind of methods the Illuminati does to their children. And he actually shows the place where it took place. It was in the back of some kind of art gallery. But Jay Parker, I just listened to one of Mark Passio's recent, and he said recent videos, and Mark Passio said that Jay Parker still has his show on. Jay Parker, basically at, I think it was 8 years old, he just wouldn't comply. And so they basically electrocuted his brain. And so he's, he said that from that point on growing up, they just looked at him and they just, oh, well, he's just dumb. But he came out speaking, and he speaks at the conferences with Mark Passio, so that people really understand the depth of what Thomas said about the Illuminati, the depth of what they would do to the children.
Yeah, well, that's what these people are all about.
Yep.
I mean, these people have put themselves in direct opposition to the deepest, most profound life forces, and that's what they do, and that's what we're up against, and that's why it's so important we get rid of them.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, it's horrible, and I'm really sorry for all of that. Thomas is everything you say is true, and you know, he still is. You know, the bottom line with him is sharing, caring, and service to others. That is the foundation of everything, you know. Yeah. And you know, you can build great buildings, you can build great societies and great empires and great machines and gadgets, but at the bottom of the day, it all comes down to that. And of course, your relationship with yourself, which is also equally part of that. And that's something that, you know, we as human beings have been denied, thanks to this, you know, operations are going on for so long. But, you know, and it would be nice to be able to go to another planet where things are not as messed up and kind of get an idea of how things can function. It'd be a lot easier. But Thomas has provided so much information on that you don't really have to. You kind of get it. After a while, it took me a while to kind of get it, and I'm still getting it. But you know, that is the track on which everything runs, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and I think that's the track of the people in the council, at least the ones that I've, you know, experienced. Let's put it that way. So
you know, if people, the way I look at it, maybe it's because I've had the spiritual experiences I had that I have this perspective. I don't know if I shared with this group my journey to the lower astral, to hell. Did I?
No, but you know what? I'm getting kind of tired, so I don't know if I can stick on much longer. So,
okay.
Yeah, but
anyway, the way I look at it, every action that they do, they're going to go in that frequency after they die. I mean, I've been there. My 5 relatives were there. I saw them twice. And so I figure it's their karma. And so, life itself will take care of it. There is karmic law. They're not exempt from it.
No, they're not, but it isn't being punished or something. It's being rewarded for doing things that are right. It's the striving for the height, not the avoiding the bottom, that ultimately matters. And they'll get punished, and but what good does that do us? What good does that do their victims? So yeah, that's something to remember. But it's we can see a very much different world here, and to me, that's what I would like to see brought into being, and I think we can do more of that. There's beautiful things all over the place, and with beautiful things that people have done, magnificent things. And that's something I wanted to see. Yeah, let's do more and more. So let's see how good the world can be just for the hell of it. What else are we doing? Let's try it.
Well, again, it has to do with everyone's inner work.
Yeah. Well, it'll have to start with each one of us. But I think that what Thomas has done is something that has really touched me very deeply, and it took a while. And I think it's touching a lot of people. And it's like you put the seed in the ground and nothing happens.
Yep.
It doesn't happen. You can't dig it up to see. So we just have to understand that's the nature of this beast. Right now, though, I'm very concerned about what's happening, what's coming down. The train's coming down the track pretty fast as far as I can see. So I'm thinking about all that too.
Well, I'm glad that you're working for the UNC.
I'm not working for them. I'm just
with them.
I'm working on my own. They don't even know I'm doing anything, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But I do want to see this succeed very, very much. So as I get more, I'll bring it up here, and we'll chew on it and see if we can make it with ourselves, and not worry about Tank so much. Just see what we can do.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. Well, it's been very lovely talking with you and all of you. Is anyone still hanging in there? Is awake?
I'm here.
I am here.
Hi. Yeah,
I'm here.
This has been a hell of a time for me, so I'm going to stop talking and wish you all a very good night and see you next week. Better days ahead.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Everyone.
I love you guys.
You too.
I love you guys. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Happy June 21st.
Yeah.
Have everybody a wonderful weekend, and love you all. Bye-bye.
You too, Estella.
Good night. I've got to go too. So.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
You too, Vicki.
Thank you.
You too, Pam J.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see you up there. There was a phone. Yeah, you guys all take care. Bye-bye.